This is the news for November the 8th, 2021, and boy, is it a stacked news front. But before we do get into those things, I just want to kind of bring to your attention the Amazon Self-Publisher. What a great time of year to go ahead and pick up a copy of that. And all you got to do, it's available in ebook and paperback, hardback, as well as an audiobook. You go ahead and visit daylinks.com/selfpubbook to pick up your copy of that today and find out why it is a 5-time award-winning book. Let's go on over into the very first piece of news that we have for today, and that is in regards to StoryOrigin. StoryOrigin's almost always on the forefront here. Evan's great about updating his StoryOrigin app, and most recently, this is kind of cool. If you're providing review copies or audio promo codes, they're starting to limit this to the people that actually use this. Now, this is good for you. In fact, this is what Evan says. Now, readers and listeners cannot request additional review copies or audiobook promo codes if they have 10 plus incomplete review processes. So let me go ahead and break this down super simple. StoryOrigin is a premium service. Sure, there's a free portion of it, but the premium service, I highly recommend. Go to daylinks.com/StoryOrigin to get yourself set up with it. And what you do is you put a review copy available for like a direct download or advanced reader copies and such. And then you give a link to people to apply for that. And then you approve anybody that comes through. Now, if you've done this enough times, or if readers have visited StoryOrigin enough times to get some review copies, it will either mark that they've done the review or they have not done the review. Most instances, when I find someone hasn't done a review after my first or second book or something like that, I typically just reject them. Now it gets to the point that if they have over 10 incomplete reviews, they're not going to even be allowed to request any more review copies. Essentially, it gets it to where they're like, no, you can't come for seconds because you didn't even finish your first helping. So in any event, this is a really neat feature, and it makes it super easy for each and every single one of us that are trying to get some type of traction when it comes to our reviews. All right, so next portion up in the news here. Lulu. Oh yeah, Lulu is, they actually dropped an email. And by the way, you hear a lot of information from me about Lulu, and for good reason. Lulu's a great company. They have done a lot to really shape up what they've been doing with their services. And if you've been on the fence about utilizing them, then I'd recommend just go dabble with them. And here's one of the greatest ways to go ahead and dabble. Believe it or not, while IngramSpark or even Lightning Source or even Ingram Content Group really does not want you to do custom journals, notebooks, and planners, Lulu wants you to do that. In fact, they say custom notebooks make the perfect gifts, promotional items, or personal projects. So if you've been kind of holding off lately in getting yourself a custom journal or no content book of some sort, now's a great time to go ahead and do that. Whether you're getting a gift for yourself or you're getting a gift for the family. So maybe it could probably be your family name plus Christmas 2021, something like that. Something that you can put in for stocking stuffers. So take a look at that. Lulu.com has that available. Go to lulu.com/create/notebooks as per usual. I'll put a link inside the description down below for every one of these pieces of information. All right, we're over here, IngramSpark. We were just kind of talking about them. And most recently, about a few months ago, they let everybody know that the pricing for supplies was going to increase. Now, this has happened across the board, everywhere from IngramSpark to Lulu to Drafted Digital. It's supply and demand, and now it's getting to a point where the cost is increased. And with that being said, IngramSpark sent out a gentle reminder to me, and I thought I'd remind you as well about this when it comes to IngramSpark. It said, we have identified that you have one or more titles that will be generating negative publisher compensation after the new price change goes into effect November 6th, which was about a couple days ago. We strongly encourage you to review and submit new pricing for your titles no later than Friday, November 5th. So you're going to want to make sure that you go into your IngramSpark dashboard, review all of your pricing, because if you haven't fixed it by now, you may want to fix it because, yeah, getting a negative compensation is not what I want to do. And so it took me a couple minutes. I had to go through and fix an entire catalog of books on IngramSpark. Thank you, IngramSpark, for making something that was a little bit more accessible. And I'm being, of course, very sarcastic. More about IngramSpark in the very near future, and why I've had some disappointment when it comes to IngramSpark. But you know what's not disappointing, though, is Rakuten Kobo. All right. Kobo has been on the forefront here of the self-publishing industry, and they've actually been one of the major Amazon alternatives. And Rakuten Kobo and Booktopia launch all-you-can-read ebook subscription service Kobo Plus in Australia. What does this mean for you as an author? If you happen to be distributing through Kobo, which I highly recommend you look into that, they have a program called Kobo Plus that was available in Canada, and it's starting to expand throughout the world. Kobo Plus is essentially like Kindle Unlimited, but for Kobo. But unlike KDP, where you have to enroll your ebook into KDP Select and be exclusive to the platform with your ebook, Kobo Plus does not worry about you being exclusive. You can publish everywhere. So the nice thing is, someone can go and borrow through Kobo Plus. When they check that out, you're going to get paid from a pool, a subscription pool. And it's very similar to the KDP Select Global Fund, in which, you know, there's going to be a pool and everybody's going to be paid out according to, you know, what was read and so on and so forth. But going a little bit further down into this, Australians are spending more time reading than ever before. Kobo Plus catalog includes over 580,000 titles for one low monthly fee, and Kobo Plus Australia follows the success of the service in the Netherlands, Belgium, Canada, and Portugal. So this is kind of cool, and it runs right about $13.99 Australian dollars per month. So this is kind of cool. I'm really excited to see what happens with Kobo over the coming years, because I see them just stepping up their game, and they're filling this void in for those that are maybe jaded or feeling a little left out when it comes to KDP and the results that they're getting from it. Okay, moving forward, next item up in the news is PublishDrive. PublishDrive, by the way, folks, it's still, the deal is up over on AppSumo. If you'd like to publish to their platform and not have to worry about the subscription fees, might I recommend you take a look at their lifetime deal, dalelinks.com/publishdeal. It's a limited time. You want to go get that, and you don't have to worry about paying for their monthly subscription fee. That's the way to go. Now, with that being said, out of the way here, I want to point out that Voxa, be the first to reach Romania's digital book market. So it's now a new store available. Voxa is Romania's very first subscription mobile reading app, listing ebooks and audiobooks in all genres and languages, focusing especially on English and Romanian content. Come on now, get that pop-up out of here. Romania's ebook market serves over 2 million readers, valued at $63 million, with an annual growth rate of 7%. Within PublishDrive, Romania was a best-selling country that brought our users 14% more sales last year, with Voxa being the first of its kind to launch in Romania. You don't want to miss out on this new venture. Plus, Voxa uses a subscription business model. Despite the pandemic in 2020, our indie saw 55% more growth thanks to subscription channels. Readers have drastically shifted to online modes. Voxa is the way. Congratulations to the folks over at PublishDrive for picking up another distribution avenue. Very, very awesome. Okay, so this very next piece of news comes from the gang over at Scribando. If you haven't heard about a Scribando just yet, I would highly recommend you go ahead and look into it. By the way, they give me free account access, so that way I can be able to promote this out here, but I don't stand behind a product unless I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in it. And Scribando curates all this news information. So every week I'm going to give you the news, but I'm not giving you the level that what Albert does over here at Scribando. Go to scribando.com to get more details. That's SCRIBANDO.com. And he sends out a regular newsletter, emails a newsletter with a bunch of links. It's really, really cool. You don't want to miss out on that. So, all right, let's get into the very first piece of news that Scribando had curated from the Good eReader, very reputable source. Demand for ebooks on the decline with gradual opening of stores. Let me go ahead and summarize this piece. Essentially, what happened is during the pandemic of 2020, the ebook sales saw a drastic increase, and I think it was like 22% increase year over year. It was pretty exceptional, but now that bookstores are starting to open, people are going back to buying more of the print books, hardbacks and paperbacks, so on and so forth, and less of the ebooks. It's still pulling fairly decent year over year, especially pre-pandemic to now where we're at in 2021, still right in the middle of this whole pandemic. But just not near as bad as what it was with 2020. So now readers have options. It's something that I've constantly just said to people is don't overlook print book sales. I heard some romance publishing experts out there that say don't bother your time with doing print books or audiobooks. And I just think that that's absolutely absurd to say that, because a vast majority of global publication profits are derived from print book sales alone. Why? People are materialistic. They want to have a book to hold in their hands. Very few people really, don't want to have that. There are exceptions to the rule. Some people like to have ebook and some people like to have the downloadable audiobooks. But for the most part, more people are buying print publications. And now that bookstores are back open, time to go ahead and ramp up your print book sales. And I just highly recommend, if you have not tapped into print book sales, do it now. Now, the other piece that Scribando brought in was from the Kindlepreneur. And this is a great article by Dave Chesson, Kindle keyword strategy for nonfiction authors. Rather than me going through and bloviating about all this stuff, because I covered some of this stuff to a certain extent in my book, Amazon Keywords for Books, goes in here, talks about all the different steps and such. And I will see about leaving a link to this one as well inside the description down below. What did you think about some of the items up inside the news today? Was there something you found interesting more than the other? And did I happen to miss something over the past week? Definitely would